In 1809, when Jefferson returns to Monticello after his presidency, he is forced to reconcile his debt. After many years of floating his lavish lifestyle on loans and favors, when his creditors ask to be paid, Jefferson realizes he must come up with a way to generate cash.
He responded to this debt by coming up with various schemes. He had a flour mill. He had other ventures at his plantation that he thought would actually make money for him.
But Jefferson is not a good businessman. His efforts to diversify, a lot of them are based on ideals of how a plantation should work rather than what is actually going to work best for Monticello. Jefferson is experimenting in industries like weaving and spinning. There are men who do iron work.
He establishes the nailery and they start manufacturing nails. Young men working in that nailery are often being treated quite harshly.
And in the end, the various mills and that nail factory didn't make the money that he thought could be made.
After 3 years of failed attempts to make money, in 1812, a new conflict with Britain emerges over contested trade routes and infringements of American rights at sea. Amidst the chaos of war comes an opportunity for Jefferson.
During the War of 1812, the British burn part of the Capitol. And one of the things they burn is what was then the Library of Congress. So Jefferson's friends in Congress know he's in debt. They pass a law to authorize the purchase of Jefferson's private library because he collects a huge number of books, thousands of books.
He sells the entire collection intact. He says you can't just take the books on politics and history, you have to take all the books because all knowledge should be of interest to legislators. And that becomes the core of the Library of Congress that we know today.
So they buy Jefferson's library for a lot more than it's worth, and Jefferson now can pay his debts. What does he do? He takes the money and starts ordering books from England where he can get them much cheaper, and he replaces everything he sold plus a lot more.
He wanted everything to remain the same. It's sort of really unrealistic that everything is going to remain the same. And so there's no question that he was enormously depressed at the end. He felt that he had failed as a patriarch. He had failed to protect his family.
After a life as a celebrated revolutionary and aristocrat, in his final years, Thomas Jefferson finds himself broke and alone. At 76 years old, Thomas Jefferson's political career is over, and he is deeply in debt. He is celebrated as the author of the Declaration of Independence, America's third president, and a beloved founding father. But he is still determined to leave America with more.
In 1819, he's a man in declining health, but he wanted to be remembered. Is the embodiment of the principles of liberty and equality. And so he spends much of his retirement engaged in founding the University of Virginia.
Jefferson presided over the University of Virginia with hopes that this could be a seminary for Republican leaders of the future.
But people were upset because it didn't have a chapel. People called it a godless institution.
And so Jefferson's vision was this is going to be a secular institution that's meant to be explicitly political. It's going to properly train young Southern men to be good Republican citizens. And he takes immense pride in that. On Jefferson's tombstone, he cites three things: author of the Declaration of Independence, author of the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, and founder of the University of Virginia. And it's fascinating he chose those things and not his presidency.
As Jefferson descends into old age, he becomes acutely aware of the way he would like to be remembered.
He'd been there at the beginning. The American Revolution was a really, really big deal. We don't take monarchy seriously, but that was the predominant form of governance. And for having defeated that, and he knew that it was something that he would be remembered for, and he wanted to be remembered in a particular kind of way.
Jefferson deliberately wrote his own autobiography because he was writing a version of history that he wanted to be remembered.
He wants to be remembered as someone who defended the people's liberties, that he stood for human equality, religious freedom, and education, and science.
Jefferson's life that we get from his autobiography is very carefully edited and cultivated. It doesn't just influence our understanding of him early on, I think it continues to this day.
In his 70s, Thomas Jefferson is reflective and sentimental about what he's accomplished. His health is declining, but his mind is still sharp.
Jefferson was a hale old man, but he was an old man nevertheless. He'd lived considerably longer than the average lifespan for an American man at that time.
He would go out and ride around the plantation occasionally, and he would come for dinner. But he spent most of his time writing.
Jefferson loves writing letters and receiving letters and trading books. And one of the great joys for him is his correspondence with John Adams well into his last years.
Years before, in 1812, just as Jefferson began to compile plans for the University of Virginia, Benjamin Rush, who had served with him and Adams in the Continental Congress, encouraged the two old patriots to reconcile.
Benjamin Rush gets into his head that these two people should not be enemies because they had been such great friends. He approaches both people, and they start this correspondence that has become famous.
They correspond a lot.
I wish your health may continue to last much better than mine. We shall meet again. So wishes and so believes your friend. But if we are disappointed, we shall never know it.
It's as if Adams and Jefferson are reimagining and reaffirming the original bond that made them both, at the same moment, Americans.
In 1826, he'd been ill for a number of months. He'd had a bout of some sort of bacterial infection and been treated with mercury.
By June, it's clear that he's failing. In the last few days of his life, it's early July, and he's coming in and out of consciousness. He's asking those around him, is it the 4th? Is it the 4th?
He called his family into the room, and he said, "The end is near. Do not weep for me." Turning to his daughter, he said, "I go where your mother is, and we prepare a place for you."
And a story that is told is that he asks to be raised on his pillow, and nobody knows what he's saying. The only person he knows that's what he's saying is Burl Colbert, an African-American enslaved person who does it and raises him on his pillow, and then he closes his eyes and he goes to sleep and he doesn't wake up. John Adams and Jefferson die on the same day, July 4th, 1826.
They die on the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. It's an amazing coincidence, and it's a fitting end to their story.